Hi guys, this is Miss Lemens, and I'm going to be walking you through the expectations for online chemistry classes. Maybe. There we go. So as your teacher, I have a few promises that I want to keep during this whole virtual learning stint we're going to be going through. First, I want to promise that I will post student assignments at 7:30 a.m. on the day of science classes, so A days. I promise to be available between 7:10 and 3:10 p.m. And you can reach me via email or Remind. I promise to be available for students via video conferencing, and there are 3 different ways, not just 2, that you can meet with me. The first time is you can do the Google Meet on A days or science specific days during that science slot, which is from 12:30 to 1:40 p.m. You can join the early bird session, which is only going to be about 30 to 40 minutes every single day starting at 8 a.m. And you can also schedule private tutoring with me one-on-one, and you'll be using an app called Calendly, which is what I use to prevent double booking. I promise to provide you with a detailed agenda or calendar to help you organize your resources, time, and deadlines. I know that you have a lot of other classes, and I know that this online learning can be really overwhelming, so I'm hoping that that calendar can help you stay organized. I promise to hold you accountable for all of your learning, and I'm going to do this by administering daily check-in assignments via Google form. So those check-in assignments are going to give you immediate feedback, which you should write down in notes, either handwritten or on your laptop is fine. It's graded based on completion, so it doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong. They're worth 5 points apiece, and they will be graded as homework in Infinite Campus. I also promise that I'm going to continue to provide you lab opportunities, but they're going to be simulations or videos. So I realize that this isn't ideal, but we really don't have a choice. So bear with me here. Those labs are still going to be just as important. They're going to be graded on correctness like we've done in the past. The points are going to vary. We're not going to have an individual and a group grade anymore. And they will be entered into Infinite Campus under the lab category, so they are, in fact, still worth 30% of your quarter grade. I also promise to be flexible and creative as we work through this whole remote learning situation. I know it's frustrating. I know it's weird. I'm experiencing all the same emotions that you are experiencing right now. And so I want to make sure that you and I were communicating openly. If you see a problem or you think that there's something I could be doing better, or maybe there was a glitch in my camera, let me know so that I can fix those things and improve upon them, because we're all learning here, and I just want to give you the best experience that I can, okay? So I've made a bunch of promises to you, but now it's your turn. In order for this to work, we need to work together. It takes 2 of us. So you need to promise to access the daily lesson, the day's lesson via Google Classroom or the weekly agenda. And each lesson, you need to complete the task or tasks and submit those tasks before the due date. Now that due date is going to be 11:59 p.m. on the next day before a science day, which I'll explain briefly later. Now, this should give you ample amount of time to actually get all of that work done before the due date. You have more than 24 hours. And the reason why we did this was because, again, the science department, the chemistry department understands that you have other classes, and we know that some of you are babysitting or working or spending time with family. You just don't have time to keep to a true school schedule. So we're providing you with the flexibility of doing the schoolwork at a later time. You also should promise to read through, take notes, and ask questions regarding the feedback provided from those Google form check-ins. It's important that you write your questions down, because you're not going to be able to ask those questions spur of the moment like in class. We're only going to be able to meet a few times a week via video chat unless you schedule something outside of the times I've listed. So make sure you write those down, take diligent notes. Even if it's just a Post-it note, just put it on your computer so that you remember to have it next time we do a video chat. You promise to understand that the late work policies still apply. If it's graded on completion, like the daily check-ins, these are not accepted late, just like homework. Labs, on the other hand, because they're so heavily weighted, they are accepted late, but there will be a late penalty applied. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me as soon as a problem occurs. If you wait too long, you might become too far behind. It's going to be hard to catch you up. So please utilize those resources on Google Meet and Calendly. Email, remind, reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns, or maybe even if you have a technology issue, let me know. And then finally, you should promise to continue to follow the MHS academic honesty policy. This means that all of the work you submit is your own and is not plagiarized from another source. So you have to think too that the reason why we want to keep academic honesty prevalent is because if you copy from somebody, then you're not retaining that information for yourself. We are going to have a test for our units coming up. So it's important that you do know the information on your own and not just by looking at somebody else's work. Okay, so I wanted to talk briefly about our new agenda. You can still find the daily agenda where you normally find them, under your bookmark. This will be called virtual learning calendars. But instead of a daily agenda, I've decided to go with a weekly agenda so that you can see every single week played out before you, and then you can plan your other classes accordingly. Now, the agenda is still going to have hyperlinks to all of the different tasks or assignments that are given to you. The only exception will be Edpuzzle or videos, because we want to use Edpuzzle so I can track your viewing. Each lesson is labeled and includes a due date, which is highlighted in yellow. So you can see, for instance, tomorrow, Tuesday, the lesson 1, nature of gases. So I'm going to have a lesson number and then a title or a topic for that lesson. A few learning targets, what you should be able to do at the end of that day's lesson, and then the tasks. So you can see that the first task listed is to watch this video, and that's due Tuesday at 3:10 p.m. Okay, so you have to watch that first before you watch do the other tasks. The other 2 tasks, it says L1 task. So that tells you that that's a task for lesson 1. This is lesson material. It's important. This is quizzable material. So you should read the nature of gases article and take notes, or sometimes I'll put an option here, which will be a video that goes through the article or something along those lines. So you can watch that video and take notes. And then you have to complete and submit the Google form check-in on Google Classroom. That again will be posted at 7:30 that morning. Now, if you look at Wednesday, it says here that lesson 1, the nature of gases, but there are no learning targets and there are no individual tasks listed underneath. You can see that these ones drag over, and that's because both of these tasks aren't due until 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday. So you have more than 24 hours, about 36 hours, to complete those 2 tasks. On Thursday, you're starting lesson 2. We are going to be doing a lab, which comes with a video and a lab handout, and I'll describe what I'm looking for in those labs that day. But you'll see that on Friday that those tasks drag over on Friday, but they're not due at 11:59 p.m. on Friday. They are due at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, which is the day before the next science session. So you have more than 3 days to get those tasks completed on time. Okay, so Google Meet sessions. These are 2 of the options for group classes or group sessions. So on A days or science days, I will be doing a Google Meet using the bit.ly, the URL that's been provided right here. We'll be meeting during that science slot from 12:30 to 1:40 p.m. I did have a handful of requests from students to record my Google Meets. What I'm going to do is, if we start a new problem, I'll start a new recording, and I'll title the recording with the date and then the topic of that recording. So, Solution Stoic question 3. So that way, if you show up late, which I would advise you don't and just show up, if you show up late, you can always look back at questions that I've already talked about, so that we don't repeat for people that have been there the entire time. I'm also going to be hosting an everyday early bird meeting. That starts at 8 a.m. and it goes until about 8:30, 8:40. That is every single day, and it is optional, but it's highly recommended, especially if you find that you struggle. This is a great opportunity to walk through practice problems with me, to ask me questions, to do extra work with me if you're struggling in chemistry. Okay, so specifically those daily homework assignments, every single day is a new lesson. The Google Form check-ins are going to be posted on Google Classroom at 7:30 that day of the lesson. It's really, really important that you take notes on your feedback. Remember, with your notes, that feedback, that's something you need to go back and read. So write down the question, what the question was. Did you get it right or wrong? What was the answer? And then sometimes I leave you guys feedback explaining why that's the answer. It's in your best interest to jot this down. I'm also going to keep those Google Forms open for you so you can always retake them. But remember, I'm just looking for a completion grade. I'm just looking for you to complete it before 11:59 p.m. That due date. But you can go back and practice those questions another time in preparation for your test. Those are graded on completion, due at 11:59 p.m. The night before the next A day or the next science day, and I do not accept late work. Labs, we are going to be using videos and simulations for this, and I know you're not super excited about it, but we really don't have a choice here. The graded work is going to vary. Sometimes it'll be a Google form, sometimes it'll be a written response, sometimes it'll be watching a video, maybe it'll be a combination of all three or just two, but it's still really important that you take notes on feedback or any of the information that you see. We might not have any pre-lab quizzes traditionally, but it's still important that you study the procedure and you study that lab handout like you would any other pre-lab. It is graded on correctness in the lab category on Infinite Campus, which is a pretty heavy topic. And I know a lot of you struggle with labs. So this is a really great opportunity for you to really take the time and polish those labs before you submit them. Late work for labs is accepted, but there will be a penalty. And remember that academic integrity is super important because all of the material that's on that lab is in fact fair game for the test. So just as a reminder, those chemistry resources that you have available to you, we should have bookmarked them all at the beginning of the school year. And if you don't have these bookmarked, make sure you do bookmark them. The Google Classroom, the chemistry website, the daily agendas are now weekly agendas. And then of course you can bookmark those Google Meet links so that you can just click right into them come 8 o'clock in the morning or that 12:30 session. So make sure you're using those resources wisely. If you need any help with figuring out how to bookmark those resources, let me know. Finally, guys, I just want to let you know that I know that this whole remote learning is really weird and it's frustrating and it's difficult, but I want to assure you that I am here for you every single step of the way and I want you to do well. And it might take a little bit more effort than we're used to, but I'm here for you and I'm struggling right alongside with you. So I want you guys to do well and I don't want you to forget that I am a resource and I want to help you out. So we've got this. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to text me on Remind or email me. Wash your hands, stay healthy. I'll see you guys later.